And indeed, it's a good morning. You're welcome. You're watching GH Today here on GHOne Television. We're excited for this beautiful Thursday morning. 2025 is here. We are already in it. And I tell you, it's going to be an absolutely amazing year. We began yesterday, and God has been so good, brought us all into the year 2025. And so moving forward, I want us to be all very optimistic about this year. Look at the prospects that this year has presented to us, right? And let's keep hope alive. And let's be very, very hopeful that this year is going to pan out very, very well for all of us. It's a new year. It's a new beginning. For those of you who have made resolutions, make sure that you are following through on those resolutions that you've made. Don't just say this year, I'm going to do A, B, C, D, and just go and sit down and rest on your ass and not get it done. Actually put in the work that is necessary to get the things that you say you are going to get done this year done. And of course, by the end of this year, when we enter 2026, next year by this time, you'd look back on 2025 and you'd say, we had a very beautiful year. And so 2025 is going to be an absolutely amazing year. And I want you to believe it, and I want you to trust that everything is going to be fine. Welcome to GH Today. My name is Lantam Papanko. And from now until 10 a.m., we've got a good show lined up for you. We're going to take you to the courts like we always do. We know that the courts have become very busy right from the latter end of 2024 into the beginning of 2025, all because there are a lot of issues in the aftermath of the 2024 election. For the parliamentary election specifically, where there has been a back and forth with regard to some parliamentary seats that the EC redeclared. Of course, we know the NDC had to go to court, the Supreme Court, and then they were taken back to the High Court. They filed some applications. Yesterday, some of the objections they raised were dismissed, and a whole lot is going on in that regard. You got a gist of it on the GH Today news, and much later on the show today, Mutala Nusa is going to be here in the studio and is going to take us through that. And then, right after that, we've got the breakfast review segment coming up. But today, we've got a special interview, motivation for this morning, which is our quote of the day. Let's get into all of that right away. Beginning with our quote of the day on the second day of 2025. Let's take a look at it. And it's one by Charles Spurgeon. And he says, anxiety does not empty tomorrow of its sorrows, but only empties today of its strengths. Anxiety does not empty tomorrow of its sorrows, but only empties today of its strengths. So, do not be anxious for anything. You remember the Bible verse which talks about not being anxious for anything? This quote by Charles Spurgeon is speaking to it, because anxiety does not empty tomorrow of its sorrows. If you are so anxious about all the things that are going to happen tomorrow and all the things that may happen this year in 2025 and how you're going to go through it and all of that, it's not going to take the sorrows away. It only empties today of its strength. So when you are anxious, you just don't get the strength to go throughout the day. So what you should rather be doing is be hopeful. Do not be anxious for anything. If you feel anxious, pray and trust that God will come through for you. That's our quote of the day for this morning by Charles Spurgeon. Let's zoom in straight into our word of the day. And like we always love to do, we want to give you a word each and every single day so that you can add it to your vocabulary to improve your speaking. It's always nice when you're speaking and within a particular context, you know of a word that you can use to make your speech more flowery and more pleasant. And so we bring you our word of the day right now.
Today's word is S-A-G-A-C-I-O-U-S. Sagacious. It's an adjective. Sagacious means having or showing understanding and the ability to make good judgments. Let's exemplify it. This new year, you have to be sagacious in order to achieve your goals. Sagacious.
That's a good word. Sagacious. Yeah. It's one that you can add to your vocabulary. I know that I've put it in my bag, and so one of these days I'm going to pull it out. That's our word of the day. Let's zoom in straight into our video of the day on this nice Thursday morning, 2nd January 2025. Enjoy. Yeah, a video of the day just gone by. Of course, one from Kofi Kinata and one from Stoneboy. It's time for court today, and Murtala Inusa is here in the studio. Good morning to you, Murtala Inusa, who has been very busy all over the place in all the courts.
Yes.
Because
the time calls for
of parliamentary elections.
Yes, because of parliamentary
because of parliamentary elections, you've been all over the place. And you've been following all the stories all over the place.
It's not
because we don't know who has won where. And everybody says they have won. So who has won?
But now it's
and because of that, we are in court.
It's hanging in the air.
It's hanging in the air.
Who has won, yes. Those who said they were declared winners are hanging now, because all that they are hoping for is for them to be reaffirmed or affirmed as winners of those constituencies. But of course, the law is the law, and you want to wait until the outcome is determined. Then you can have your full mojo back. But for now,
anyway,
those people have to wait in anxious moments.
Yeah, they have to wait.
In football, have you realized that those days in football, when it's about 5 minutes or some few minutes to the end of the, maybe you are leading 1-0, but your opponent is piling pressure on you. You can't say that. you wish they give at the end.
You lose that small, or you lose your lead. But anyway, it's all good. Welcome to 2025, by the way.
Yes, I'm happy to see you.
We are happy to see you 2025.
We are also happy
and in 2025, what is going to happen?
Yeah, a lot is going to happen. A lot of things will happen.
I want you to prophesy.
Those things that we couldn't fulfill them in 2024. I think that
will be fulfilled in 2025.
Most definitely. That's the plan, yes.
Definitely.
We'll get better and better.
But let's get into, the issues, right? We've already begun talking about all of these things. Arguably the most famous word, the most famous word from the end of 2024 going into 2025 in Ghana today is mandamus. Mandamus. That is the most famous word in the country today.
Everywhere you pass,
mandamus.
It's a very beautiful word.
Mandamus.
Yes,
you have to do your mandate. So I'm bringing an order of mandamus.
Yes.
From the newsroom to you to perform your duties on court today or GH today. Mandamus. So let's start with mandamus. The mandamus application on the 4 constituencies traveled, from the High Court to the Supreme Court and back to the High Court. There were objections raised against the mandamus, and the objections were thrown out.
Yes.
So what's up with that?
Yes, you mentioned rightly so. Since December 20. We started, the word mandamus started to come up. Now it's a big man. The word mandamus is a big man.
Mandamus is a big man.
So it started with 6 parliamentary candidates of the NPP went to the High Court. And the reason they went to the High Court was that they said 7th December, Ghana had elections. The EC organized elections. And after the end of the elections, so now, or till then, 20th of December, they don't know the outcome of those constituencies, those 6 constituencies. Ablekuma North, Okankwe Central, Tema Central, Techiman North, Techiman South, yes. In Sawem Adredri, then Obuasi East.
Yeah.
So these were the 6 that they went to court with. Now, the court made an order without hearing the NDC side, the interested party, and then make the point that, look, the way it is, EC go. And the mandamus means that the EC is the body mandated by law to organize elections in this country.
Yeah.
They are the body required to collate the results of the elections that they have organized, and they had the power to declare the outcome and to tell us who won the constituency or the election and to declare the winner. Simplicity. Good simplicity. That is all the EC is supposed to do. The applicant are saying that we are done with the election. As at now, we don't know the results and there's no winner, so the election is not complete. Court compel the Electoral Commission to perform their public function. Simple. That is mandamus.
Of completing the election.
Yes, completing the election. So the order to compel the Electoral Commission, the order to demand that the Electoral Commission perform their public function or their constitutional duty is what is given by mandamus. So you go to court by way of seek that remedy, you go with a mandamus application. And like you mentioned, since 20th December, mandamus has been ruling this country.
Yes.
And the most word a lot of people use for the Brunia, right?
Yes. So it was it's a mandamus New Year. That's Edgy Tamaklo in your short.
Absolutely.
Yes,
he was arriving at the
he's
court,
the one who has been dealing with these cases
absolutely, for the interest. So Barbara
the
Sewa, Asamoah, the deputy secretary of the NDC, and of course, Abi Bright, and the team arriving yesterday at the law court complex.
That's Baba Sadiq.
Yes,
with Justice Remsai.
Absolutely. And then Ekwefri,
yes,
Abdulkumanov, all of them yesterday were present in court. Like I was explaining, matter went to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court said, look, the NDC, the interested parties ought to be heard. Go back, freshly hear the mandamus application, but now not before Justice Joseph Osu-Ajiman, but a different court.
Yeah.
Now the case has been assigned to a different judge, Justice Fosinba Ejepon. And let me comment the way the judge has been handling the parties. You go to court,
provided within the rules of court,
absolutely.
right?
And so that's one thing that he has made clear, and it makes the courtroom even fun to be.
Right.
Very relaxed. You will not be in the court when you be memory. There are some court that you go, and the way the judge is handling the thing, the way you realize that at least give him an audience.
There's a lot of tension.
Absolutely. But in the space of this court,
calm atmosphere.
Justice Fosinba, I think that I need to commend him for the way he's handling this very matter. In a matter as sensitive as this one, you have to be extra careful. And he himself has been making the point, I don't want any trouble. He's been making that point. He doesn't want any trouble.
Yeah.
So let's do it. Sometimes when the parties are advancing argument and I want to raise objections, say, have you seen me writing anything? I'm just listening to you. So let me advance. So what you have said, this is what I'm going to put down and all that. And all of them.
So the court processes are moving
absolutely very, very smoothly, apart from the long sittings, apart from that, everything. So yesterday, you know, so when we were going, one of the things that were, and then starting from the Supreme Court quashed 4 of them out of the 6. So the case before Justice Bar is 4. Tema Central, Techiman South, Ablikuma North, and then Okaikwe Central, the 4. So before yesterday, the first time that the parties went to court, the NDC, which are the interested parties, raised a preliminary legal objection, said that, look, this is an election petition in disguise. If you have any issue, file election petition, and then let's go and adduce evidence and challenge that. Because where we have gotten to, mandamus is not a remedy for that. The applicants, the NPP side, who also filed, disagreed and said, look, as of now, there's no resource. So the only process to come is mandamus. EC also came in and said, oh, there's no resource. Let's go and give us the order and let's go and finish our work. So yesterday, before anything else, the court made a determination that particular right to come by way of a judicial review in the nature of mandamus. So the application before the court was proper and was right for the court to deal with it. So the objection was overruled. And now we're clear for the application for mandamus to be moved. And each of the 4 moved their own respective application through their lawyers. The first one, and in fact a lot of time was taken there, was Tema Central, Ibi Bright, and then Charles Forsen. And Charles Forsen is the applicant, the NPP candidate there. Right. And she said that, look, whatever was done was even down on the A4 sheet. And the person that the NDC said declared the results was not the returning officer. They made mention of one, Mr. Nunu, that he was the one that declared the results. Yeah. And the NPP side is saying that the returning officer is Mr. Broby. So we have Mr. Nunu versus Mr. Broby. And so that was me. And yesterday they played some of the videos of declaration made. And in respect of the Tema Central, one of the things that came to the fore was that we saw a declaration being made, but we didn't hear the results. And the contention of the NPP side, they didn't even mention the results. We don't even know the results. So as you can see from the video, but the NDC side is saying that, look, it's not about the results that we are telling you. We are telling you that there has been a declaration. So the video that you have heard is declaring somebody as a winner. And if anybody has an issue with the declaration made, go and file election petition and challenge that. So the court heard argument in relation to that. EC's point was very interesting. He said, no, our work is not complete. Give us appropriate orders for us to go and finish our work. Justin Amenivo, simple, TTR. Work is not done. But the NDC holds the view that work has been done. Once declarations have been made, elections complete. If you disagree, per PNDC law 284, section 16 and 20 states the terms, how elections are organized, and if you disagree, how you are supposed to challenge that and all that. So yesterday, after the Tema Central, the court put it there. Then we went to Okaikwe Central, and guess who? Patrick Yabuama and Baba Sadiq. And the contention there has to do with the fact that the declaration was made with some polling stations outstanding. 110 was what was used to declare the election. There is an outstanding of 31 because the polling centers within the constitution 141, including the special voting. So the outstanding 31, they hold the view that when that is added, it will change the results. So that cannot be a declaration. And so once it is not completed, they have to complete the whole process and the return. So the court should compel that. The lawyers of the applicant in relation to Ajay Sakosa for Techiman South, and then the other constituency for Ablikman North, Ekwefri, associated themselves with submissions made in respect of the Tema Central and the Okaikwe Central. Right. Then the NDC side, they say, look, our cases are distinct. The individual cases are distinct. So if they are associating with themselves with the other side, we want to highlight on the unique aspect of what our interested parties or our candidates are saying. So we went on to Ablikuma and North, where Rabban Obin is the candidate and said they have been declared, made all the argument, supported with all the authority that they have to do, came back to Techiman South and did the same thing. And the judge looked at the scene and said, look, I have to do individual rulings or individual ruling on each of the applications that have been moved, Tema Central, Ablikuma North, Techiman South, and then Okaikwe Central, individual ruling. So, and because the typing, as when the parties were speaking, they are typing the proceedings, so they need to tidy up the proceedings, and the court is hoping that the clerks will be able to finish that today, because yesterday the time that we closed after 4, almost 4 p.m. The court indicated that we were going to close at 3, so that at some point within the 1 hour, judicial service they close at 4. Within the 1 hour, the clerks will use it to mop up the proceedings. But it didn't happen, so we have to complete it almost around 4. And then the court said he's hoping that by the close of today, the court will get the entire proceedings, look at whatever the court ought to look at it. So on Saturday, the court will sit down and then deliver rulings in relation to all the 4 applications for mandate, which is simply asking the court to compel the Electoral Commission to go and perform their public function for a public event. Elections are public exercise.
Yes, they are.
So that is where we have gotten to in relation to this one. So Saturday we'll see.
So in the aftermath of all of that, you spoke to some of the candidates, Rabban Obin, Baba Sadiq. I believe you spoke to Dr. Justice Sremsai as well. And in all of that, we're seeing a lot of the videos where we are seeing the MPP and the NDC all chanting songs.
It wasn't easy.
Look at that. Revolution.
It was an interesting
to stay, whatever.
The issue of revolution came to attention in court, where Gary Nimako was making submission and said that the returning officers were forced to declare some of these results when Basintali, Malik Basintali and co, they were saying revolution. When digital was the effect that look, revolution is the song of the NDC. So what are you trying to say? The whole courtroom was doing. But like you mentioned some of the reactions and all that. I've been speaking to some of them, and first of all, let's hear from Rabban Obin. She's very hopeful ahead of Saturday.
Delay is not denial. I mean, we were all in the courtroom. It's been 6 hours of sitting, and no matter how the MPP decide to twist and turn issues, we are all privy to events. So I have no doubt that the will of the people will still stand.
Sure. So that's a wrap now for
the NDC parliamentary candidate.
Enough. Yes, she is very hopeful that by Saturday she'll be cleared, and then on Monday she'll be part of the processes in Parliament and all that.
So what about Baba Sadiq?
Yes, Baba Sadiq has also been giving us some explanation and going more in detail into how the whole processes turned out and why he thinks that the EC want to do something fishy.
I've always been confident that it will be affirmed. We're hopeful. Let's see how Saturday goes. We'll wait for the ruling on Saturday. But we're very confident that with the case that we put before the judge and the strength of the authorities we cited, I mean, this shows that this will be affirmed. I have made the point severally that we don't create pink sheets. The pink sheets that's given to us is from the EC, and so there is a famous saying from our opponents where they make a case. I think was it Dr. Bamiada said that the evidence is on the face of the pink sheet. I have a pink sheet from you as EC.
With me, because people will ask, why are we always speaking to the NDC side?
I always wanted to ask because you always seem to get the NDC candidates to speak to, but the NPP candidate, why? They don't want to talk.
Anytime we are done with call, you realize that they are not always available. They are not accessible. You make the effort to talk to them, and they wouldn't want to speak. They prefer their leaders from speaking. So we noticed that from Monday when we started this, so Afenyo Markins, Advance Nema, they were saying, but the PCs themselves, yesterday, from the day before yesterday, I tried to engage her, but she will find a way to run away from the cameras and all that for them. Maybe they have their own plans and all that. Probably. Yes, probably they have their own plans. They will prefer to speak after the decision of the court, hopefully, and all that. So
we'll see about that.
Yes, Dr. Justice Remsai, senior law lecturer, that's a private legal practitioner. Yesterday he was seated in court looking at whatever was happening throughout the proceeding, and he has been sharing with us some perspective about this whole matter. Let's hear.
If you allege that something was done improperly, you apply for it to be quashed, not to ignore it and then issue an order for a different thing to be done. That was the fundamental flaw in that particular case. For mandamus to be granted, you need to show some things. One of them is that there's a statutory duty, which is expressly stated in law. There must be a demand that it should be performed, and there must be a refusal that the demand will not be performed. Clearly, there is no evidence that there is a statutory duty called recollation. Once collation is done, the next thing you do is to challenge it by way of what? Election petition. But there's nothing like recollation. That has been our argument.
So that is Dr. Justice Remsai. And he said, look, for a mandamus application to surface, first of all, a party will have to write to the EC and complain about A, B, C, D, and why they think that the election should be recollated or redeclared. And the EC must offer a refusal and say that go to hell. There's nothing that you can do. Then that's where you can go to court. But all the letters that they have written to the court as condition precedents, they themselves have been making points to the effect that we want you to revoke the declaration made. So the admission is there is that they are admitting that they have made a declaration. If then you are admitting that they have made a declaration, then the remedy is not mandamus. The remedy is file election petition, because the election has been declared. But it became an issue in court and all that. And very interestingly, in the course of we'll know what the position of the court will be in relation to that. But like you mentioned, the issue of revolution and then the elephant and all that. Is it the elephant what?
The elephant is a winning symbol. And we have won
to save Ghana. Okay. And then the revolution.
Revolution.
Okay, so let's go to the court and watch what happened.
It's a long way to go, but I stand to say the elephant is the winning symbol.
before yesterday, and yesterday was at play. Saturday, expect that to happen all of that. So basically that's what happened. So on Saturday, all eyes will be on Justice for Simba GHOne as he comes out with ruling, where Parliament will also be monitoring that. And of course, the constituents of these candidates will not forgetting the fact that the party itself, yesterday, Barbara Sewa Sama represented the NDC. NDC is the second interested party in all the 4 applications filed in relation to that. And of course, the NPP candidates were also present in court yesterday. So Saturday, January 4, and it is Saturday because of the directive from the Chief Justice that in relation to election matters, all courts that are sitting or handling these matters should sit on holidays. And yesterday is a holiday,
but the court starts
Saturday. So that's how come we are seeing Saturday in here.
So let's talk about GHOne, and I believe that they've got a New Year message for us.
Yes. So the president of the Judicial Service Staff Association, Samuel Alfututu, has been speaking to the over 7,000 staff across the country, and the message is that embody selflessness, humility as you serve the people of Ghana. However, they have issues with their conditions of service. They've made all the steps and all that. The processes are going on, but it is delaying. So saying that, look, of powers that be, make sure that you handle our issues so that we want to start 2025 on a very clean note. Let's hear the message that he has for staff.
On behalf of the National Executive Council of GHOne, I bring you warm greetings of this festive season. The letter reminds us of the advent of our Lord Jesus Christ, whose sacrifice inspired us to serve Mother Ghana and humanity with humility, dedication, and then selflessness. Beloved colleagues, the year 2024 came with its unique moments of fulfillment and challenges. We ushered in the year with the launch of the 50th anniversary of GHOne, which was held under the theme 50 years of championing judicial excellence and upholding staff welfare. In the spirit of getting everyone involved, we visited all regions to participate in the regional 50th anniversary programs, which were full of merry, sporting activities, health screening, dinner, and symposia. We climaxed our Golden Jubilee in Cape Coast with a grand symposium on the judiciary and peaceful elections. As the saying goes, all work and no play make Jack a dull boy. In view of this, we chose colleagues with lots of fun with Sports House Executive Council petition the leadership, the Honorable Lady Chief Justice, to expedite the approval process. As of yesterday, the official feedback on the matter is that the recommendation of the Judicial Council is receiving the highest attention of His Excellency the President of Ghana. The reports have been referred to the Ministry of Finance for update on the status of the request. We are keenly monitoring the progress. We have also mapped out a number of industrial action tools that could be activated should the government unduly delay the approval and implementation. While GHOne continues to push for timely approval, we shall keep you updated on the progress. Our commitment to the speedy approval of the new salary structure is resolute. Your patience, prayer, and unwavering support are crucial for GHOne to navigate these hurdles in order to bring home a condition of service that is lasting and fulfilling. As we close the chapter of 2024, let's give glory to God Almighty that He spared us our lives to achieve some goodness in 2024. With life and good health, our dreams and aspirations in 2025 and beyond would be achieved. Do not fear, for we are children of the Lord, determined to serve with commitment. On behalf of the entire National Executive Council of GHOne, I say Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year to all staff of the Judicial Service and the Judiciary. Ayeko for the good work done. Afishapa, Afi, Faye Namilo, Niti Yumpale, Ni Yumpala, Leti Yumpale, Baka Muda, Shabon Shakara. Once again, God bless us all as we enter into the new year. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's the president of
Judicial
GHOne Service Staff Association, Mr. Samuel Afitutu.
Yeah, and the conditions of service is very important.
I think it's one thing that every staff wants. Not only in respect of GHOne, but everywhere.
It's very important, you see, because when you are working, you need a comfortable environment.
I'm sure it's the message that everybody will want to hear.
You know, you'd have to be in an atmosphere where you don't have to worry that your conditions of service are not, you know, adequate.
Once
so that you can have peace of mind to do your work and do it well. So it's very
service, your conditions of service will also be worked on. So, in fact, if you listen to the message, he said some plans have been put in place, and one of them include they will activate strike, right? You are threatening strike. Chobwe. Is that how when the people are doing Chobwe?
That's a long way to go, but to stay. That's the song they use when people are saying
Chobwe, right? Okay, so that's it for court today, Lantam.
Thank you very much, Mutala Idusa, bringing us court today, and it's been a good one. You're still watching GH Today here on GHOne Television. Do stay tuned. When we return, we will be having that interview with former chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Freddie Blay. He sat down in an interview with GHOne Television, and we'll bring that interview to you here on the show. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Zooming straight into Hard Talk, and my colleague Lily Mohammed sat down with former chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Freddie Blay, in an exclusive interview, and we're bringing to you right now on Hard Talk.
Hard Talk here on GH today. My name is Lily Mohammed. In the just ended elections, the New Patriotic Party suffered a major defeat in their quest to break their 8th agenda. What accounted for the party's loss, and what will be the party's consolidation of its gains to re-come back in 2028? Will that be possible? Will Ghanaians give them the nod in 2028? My guest this morning is a political stalwart. He is a veteran politician. He's a lawyer. One time, he was a 3-time member of parliament for the Elembele constituency. He's also a former national chairman of the New Patriotic Party. What will be his thoughts on what accounted for the party's loss? My guest is Frederick Blay. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good afternoon, Lily.
How are you doing?
I'm fine. And let me take the opportunity to wish you a happy new year.
Many
and
happy
of course
returns.
your viewers all over the country as well. Thanks for all the good things you've been doing in this country, in terms of your outreach, in terms of your reaching out to Ghana and letting many of us see what is happening, watch what is happening, and hear what is happening. Thank you.
You are welcome, and we also appreciate you for welcoming us into your home. How have you been after the final declaration of the Electoral Commission, after the concession of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia?
Maybe you want to rub it in. Of course, I feel bad, sad. Like you mentioned, a major defeat. We are come to terms with that. It's not easy. Even when you support a football team, which you don't play, which you are not part of, but you just support. When they are defeated, you feel sad. In this case, we've been involved. We were in government. We are still in government until the 7th of January this year. We lost, as you mentioned, disastrously. We are not happy. But that's the decision of the electorate, the Ghanaian public. We got to come to terms with that.
Did the defeat surprise you, and what aspect of it surprised you?
Of course, it's surprising. I will say that the government and another Dankwa Akufo-Addo was doing very well in terms of handling the economy, in terms of good governance, in terms of establishing peace in this country, and severe challenges. We were coming out of the woods. Economy that went down in terms of GDP to less than 2%. A couple of months ago, it was 7.2, maybe even going higher. And we think definitely, in spite of all the challenges, another Dankwa Akufo-Addo's government, as the MPP government, was doing well for this country. And we were convinced that the elections would turn out. It was difficult, but we thought we could come out still tops. Unfortunately, what we were not expecting happened.
Was that your reality, or the reality of a number of people in your party? Because we have had some members of your party, some stalwarts even say that, listen, the economy was not going well. Were you not living in the reality of everybody? Or did you fail to answer the question on the economy?
Lily, that's what I've just told you. That in terms of managing the economy, it's part of the previous challenges. We mention always, we emphasize, although some people would prefer to ignore it, that the COVID pandemic did not pick the service not only to our economy, but quite a number of economies in the world that all one regard as a subtle won't regard that as a miracle. We've come out of it. And we know that things were getting better.
Was it not because we had some cushion from the International Monetary Fund?
No, that's not the case. We're talking about figures. In fact, the figures, I won't deceive you, and these are figures collected from the university, independent sources. And they are saying that after recession, after all the problems, the economy was
rebounded.
And we were coming to terms with that, and yet we're moving up.
But the people who suffered from the war are not struggling as your economy is.
Who tells you? Mention any country who suffered from the war. Who did not? Many developed economies. I'm talking of UK. I'm talking about America. I'm talking about South Africa. I'm talking about America. I'm talking about South Africa. I'm talking of India. They went through some of such challenges, and at the end of the day, their governments also suffered. The incumbent governments were all heavily swept off from the sea. I understand it. Sometimes it is difficult to carry your people along with such difficulties, such challenges. All that they want is lower prices, food on their table, money in their pockets, without regards to whatever is happening, outside some of these things. But unfortunately, we suffered the result of what the world was reaping from those. Ravaging incidents in the world.
Some members of your party have also blamed the finance minister. You remember in Parliament, some of your members of Parliament staged a revolt against the former finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, that he's the cause of your woes. Do they have a point?
I wouldn't say so. It's a perception. And sometimes there is what in life you call scapegoatism. If some difficulties arise, some people should be blamed for it. Maybe some people should be blamed for it. Maybe he was a very stubborn individual who was stuck to what he thinks would be good about cabinet. Maybe the problem we had too was that even our core supporters, talking about members of our party, we did not maybe communicate with them to get them along with such sacrifices and difficulties, so that the day after, things will ease for us. Maybe we did not do very well by carrying them along. The results of the election proved that it's not that there was any increment in terms of the voting public. In fact, John Mahama, now the president-elect, did not increase in his votes that much. It's about 160,000. And we lost. We came down from over 6 million to, that is the previous election, to 4 million. It means a lot of our membership did not consider it necessary to vote because they thought our government could have eased life for us, or economic life and the difficulties for us, and therefore they were not ready to come along with the difficulties.
Now to vote. Let's talk about the party machinery. Do you think that in this election, party structure was properly utilized for the campaign?
We did what we could. After you've done all that you think you could, the rest you leave to the faith or factors beyond your control. The party was well organized from my perspective. It was.
I mean,
we had a little problem.
Chairman before.
We had some problems, some balance. They stayed home. They did not vote for our opponents, but they were angry, frustrated, and therefore did not turn out to vote. And we suffered the defeat that we are all talking about. But maybe we are all learning better lessons It's a learning curve in politics. Although you don't sometimes live to correct your mistakes. That's what we suffered. The defeat that we are sorry for. But I think it's an opportunities that this country had lost with the voting pattern that took place.
Some also argue that for your party, you ran a flag bearer campaign and not a party campaign.
They consider to have been the problems. I definitely don't agree that we ran a presidential campaign. Of course, the one whose name was on the ballot was the president, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and his vice. And then the individual parliamentary candidates. They did what they thought they could do, their services. And maybe people were not convinced about that, and they voted the other way. But I wouldn't agree that we ran a presidential candidate instead of a party. We ran a presidential race instead of a party race. There will be that criticism sometimes. We come out victorious. That did not happen. And for that reason, some will give their own interpretation. But I don't agree with that interpretation.
After the defeat?
Again, if you go back to your question a couple of minutes ago, after the dust has settled, we will all know what we could consider to be a strategy that did not work out well. But the blame game will always go on. When you are victorious, you have many fathers. When you lose, you are an orphan. And the candidates, to some extent, will be blamed. Leadership of the party, to some extent, will be blamed. But we should take the blame together. And I will not even consider it that we must take the blame for what we didn't do right. Communication link. We must put double our efforts to carry along our core supporters, because core supporters will be with us. We must convince them that we did not make mistakes. We did not do anything that was not in the best interest of this country, but remain and come out in their numbers next time to vote. I don't agree that we made any serious mistakes for which we were punished for. The only mistake maybe we did not carry them along. We did not make more efforts to let them see the difficulty, because they say leaders eat last.
You mentioned some of your members. You talk about Aguna West, you talk about Yendi.
It looks like, as I said, maybe I won't blame them all, because some people went through primaries, and yet their favorite candidates were not chosen for the various constituencies. They became sour losers. And sour losers, they turned their back against the government because they did not respect majority carry the vote principle. And because of that, they encouraged and indeed worked for those who stood against the party's chosen candidates. And the constitution is clear. When you do that, when you actively do.
Let's talk about your region, the Western region. Currently, you can only boast of 2 seats.
I agree with you.
What went wrong?
Well, it's part of what I've been describing. It's not peculiar to one region. If you look at it all over the country, north to south and west to east, it looks like the people did not come out to vote, and they punished our party for it. And we had some of the worst results, in the sense that they were angrier. We are more exposed in terms of headquarters, operational headquarters of GMPC. It's sited down in the region.
For which you were
building the oil base.
Obviously did not see.
Well, your guess could be as good as mine, but I will say that you talk about the building of a statute. This country, it's not the first time, all over the world too. When you make a contribution towards the building of your country, when you render a service that is appreciated, people decide to express it, that they appreciate what you've done. Western Region Chiefs decided that. But as I said, Ghana's history is being written, not for today, but for the future. We shall see.
President Akufo-Addo a couple of days ago honored a number of people, including public servants, some of his appointees, some members of parliament, and a journalist who was also honored as well. And some people thought that, well, it was not in good taste, especially with the medal, with the symbol of the elephant.
It's a decision of the government. You should make a decision one way or the other. We have had coins, sometimes with the image to be the image put on. They will have, that will have subsided. But if you decide to put up the image of an elephant, it's that I see nothing wrong with it. So we can ignore that.
We can ignore that. Is President Akufo-Addo the greatest man of our time?
Well, who can blow your horn except you, Madam Lily? It's politics we are all involved in. And from our perspective, and I'm being very sincere, at the police station. That's what built up for the nation and for the national elections. If you didn't do that, why do you want to blame the national executive for your not voting at the constituency level? We will need to look at certain things from some perspective. As I said, we should wait and see. We will reorganize and see where we need to re-strategize. But to continue target individuals and national officers more so for what has happened, I think it's unfair.
Will you want to return to national leadership?
National leadership. I'm part of the leadership at the moment. And I've served my term as fortunately, and by the grace of God and the voters of my party. I wouldn't.
Usually when a party goes into opposition, they look at its strong base. For you, it's the Ashanti region, and many argue that it would be best to pick a leader from the Ashanti region to consolidate your gains. Looking at the fact that Afenyomakin's region only was able to garner 3 seats for the party.
That's not the way we must go to handle the situation. We put up a candidate that one will say was from a minority tribe to lead our party. So spiritual ideas that is coming out with, his ability to unite this country for us to move on, and particularly our party. I don't believe that we should say we have numbers in Ashanti region. And for that reason, we should put up just an Ashanti man to lead the party in opposition. No, I think that I won't consider it based on region and contribution. There are many other factors. They are all members of parliament, and the leadership should decide to, when the party makes a decision, I will encourage those who are saying that we should maintain the leadership now in majority when we were in majority to the leadership even in minority. We should keep our front bench.
So for you, Alexander Afenyomakin should be, but would that be
that we may not have a government outside the parliament. Parliament will play a very significant role. Let's keep the members that we have united, and let's keep the leadership as it is for now and see what will happen. I have a feeling they will represent us adequately and competently. So we should leave it as it is.
Let's talk about Parliament. Going into the 9th Parliament, your party has minimal numbers in there. How is it going to pan out? What will be your party's role in...
We were only 65 in Parliament when the NDC had overwhelming majority. The party did well. Our members in Parliament were competent. They spoke very well. They argued very well and let the Ghanaian know. Of course, experience is not a day's effort over time, and people gather the experience. I love to see experienced people handling matters, but that's not democracy. Democracy is what people decide what they want, and they have it. And those who don't want to disappoint themselves and disappoint the electorate will learn fast. But learning even on the ropes, learning the constitution, learning the standing orders, learning all other things that you want to work with, coming to terms with them. It was a bit rough from the beginning, naturally, because the numbers were almost even, and one or two could make a difference, and that's what happened from the beginning. But of course, almost similar. People were making compromises, and it made the part of Parliament could decide that we will not honor it. I think was so unfortunate. I honestly think it was unfortunate, and it could lead to a very bad precedent, which I don't hope should be followed. The Supreme Court could strike it down as unconstitutional, and that's what our democracy is all about. Anybody who talks about separation of powers to make it look like the Chinese war between the various organs of
legislatures,
or even the judiciary superior. No, they are not superior, but they all have separate and independent rules to perform, and we should allow that one to happen. anything contrary to that.
Speaker in the 8th Parliament, and there are calls for him to be maintained as well. You have worked with him before in Parliament.
Yes, I've worked with him, but I don't want to pass judgment over him, over his character or his ability. He's done what he could, and he's very independent-minded and is convinced about what he thinks is right and wants to go. But as I said, the Constitution has no respect for just individuals and strong men. But it doesn't allow that. It's does not augur well for democracy or even for the health of this country.
Well, was the Speaker clashing with the majority in Parliament?
Again?
Was the Speaker clashing with the majority in Parliament?
I could guess so. It happened a couple of times, but that to me is not surprising. But the clashes should be ideas, and ideas we should talk Jojo. And when it comes to the clashes getting out of hand to the extent of now extending to the other organs of state and making it look like as if there is chaos and instability. It's dangerous. It's dangerous for the health of this country, dangerous for development of the country. There must be separation of powers, yes, but those organs should work together to ensure that democracy in peace and according to law. If you don't do that and you go out of it, you stand to lose more than indeed the members of the opposition.
The NDC asserts that going into the 9th Parliament, the second Deputy Speaker position will be given to an independent candidate. One time you were second Deputy Speaker of Parliament, but you belonged to the CPP at the time.
Yes,
what is your position on this?
Well, the Constitution spells out that what should happen in Parliament. It depends on how as I said, it's not a zero-sum game. It's a question of we give and take. If in spite of the whip that will be exercised, it's allowed. Now after that, parties want to say we should hunt for who did what, who didn't do what. I don't think it is good for democracy. Leave it as it is. Let people speculate and say who voted for what and for what reason. You will go into it. It's not good. So I will not go into that.
Would you encourage your members in Parliament, in the 9th Parliament, to nominate somebody for the speakership position?
The second Deputy Speaker, we will also support it. It makes the work smooth. It makes everybody have the sense that we are going to work together. But if it doesn't happen, as I said, we'll live to see if they disagree in the chamber. They disagree in terms of this petty decisions over this petty.
Post-election, few days after the elections, we saw some members of the NDC going around seizing state institutions. What is your thoughts on that?
It's unfortunate. As I said, it's not a revolution. What I talk, it's not a coup where people that you give room for bandits and some bad nuts within infiltrate your ranks. Who were taking out containers, other people's vehicles. Indeed, it's happening now. Individuals who people were living out of government. And we said, please, don't allow that one. If, as individuals, you see anybody trying to take containers or take other people who have imported their vehicles to this country to carry away or drive away the vehicles without going through the proper procedure, check it. make sure they don't do that. If you see people carried this, we report it to the police and stop them. That's different from saying who from the government asked that they should go and do that. But it was promptly stopped. But you shouldn't do that. And this one you can't anybody's attendance to such a committee when it has no force of law. When nobody, it's not the individual who the president, be it incoming or whatever it is, when you have not assumed powers, when you have not backed it by law, and you say they have set up ORA, and can ORA summon people to come and give evidence before the court?
It's a fact-finding mission.
How do you do that? A fact-finding, you must summon people. Is it
you ask for information sometimes, like
they've
done?
No, information, and you ask for it. Assuming me, I'm working, I was a chairman of GMPC. You want any information, and you set up ORA. The individuals, on what basis? Do I come there? Do I swear? Do I do what do I do? Can they subpoena me? Me, I'll volunteer to go and give information to any committee that is legitimately set up to go and ask for any information, whatever I was, even if I'm not even a chairman or whatever it is, and that you think I have some information I should give, I will do so. But what law backs you? How do you come by that? And then look at the constitution of the committee members itself. Me, for example, you do so, put Okudetua Blakwa as chairperson. I'm already in court with him for defamation, for making outrageous allegations against my person and even my family. And here it is. Could I go and face him over there? Unless you back it by law. And then by law?
So when oral extends an invitation, you will not honor it.
How can you do that? I would, if Okudetua is a chairman of a committee to ask me about my personal affairs, which I consider my personal affairs, or whatever I was doing, without the backing of any law in this country, definitely, as a lawyer, I would definitely not go. But as I said, if you set up ORA properly, backed by law, Lily, I want to tell you and let your viewers know, I would make myself available. I would bet you on the fact that me and him are in court for his making outrageous allegations against my person and my family. I would do that because that's set up by law. But until you do that, under what?
Do you have a personal vendetta against Samuel Okudetua Blakwa?
You should ask whether he has a personal vendetta against me. I don't. It's him who is making accusations against me and against my person, my children. I don't have any personal vendetta. He's done nothing against him. I didn't know him from Ada. He came from North Tongu. I come from. But he goes out, organize people to say that I should not have property or my children should not have property in Accra because we don't come from Accra. You see this? When you don't come from Accra too. He goes on to say that I'm involved in state capture. I don't know what it means by state capture.
But is your family engaged in any form of land grabbing? We have heard GHOne also accuse your son of engaging in land grabbing. What is it with your family and land grabbing?
It's unfortunate that when the political atmosphere changes a little, people take advantage of it and will attack individuals. My children, my family is not involved in any land grabbing. My children, 2 of them, are involved with legitimate business, and their companies which they are involved in have purchased individually, not together. Properties that they are going to use for the work they are doing. One in estate, real estate development, another in an entertainment spot called Polo Beach Club. Each legitimately done. Each according to law, not from government, not from any state institution. And they are doing business. They've entered into a contract or agreement with legitimate sources which have nothing to do with government. If they do so, do you describe that to be state capture? If they do so, do you think that what means you are looting the state? If you do so, if you do there are businesses that Lebanese, Syrians, English people, Germans are involved in. You don't call that state capture. A Ghanaian citizen involved in legitimate without using state resources, without using any money that had been taken away from government sources to do business as grown-ups, as individuals. And you, a politician, who on your own have acquired your own properties all over, nobody questioning you. And yet, you decide to hide yours. You decide to sit on yours. I'm not questioning where you have gone to acquire this thing from. And yet you are attacking me. You are targeting me. You are aiming at me, making it look like as if I'm involved in anything untoward and illegitimate. And make people hate me. People
are you then saying that Samuel Okuneto has also acquired properties all over illegitimately?
Come again?
I'm asking if you are then inferring that Samuel Okuneto has acquired properties all over.
I go to that extent as a lawyer. I'm saying that you do have properties in your name, which I'm aware.
Okay.
How you acquired it, this country, we don't question, except that we are going to hold out office. And when you are going to hold out office, they will ask you. Be in a position to acquire, and yet we are going ahead to attack those who have done it even legitimately. I think that one, it's unfortunate. The least I can say about it. And that, if you say so, accuse me wrongly, I go to court today. I've gone to court with him. I understand I'm not the only person who's gone to court. About 10 more people. That it means it's in a habit of making accusations, level accusations against individuals. I don't know whether it is by agitation or by propaganda to make them unpopular as individuals, but it's doing that, and we are looking on. If you don't take him on in court and elsewhere and stop him, that's what he's going to live by, and gain notoriety for doing so. And I think that must be stopped. That's all I'm saying.
But why didn't your government investigate him? You say he has acquired properties all over. I mean, you're not saying legitimate or illegitimate, but you're saying
Well, you as an individual, you get up and say, Lily, I've seen that you are driving 2 Benz cars. I've seen that you are in a big house, and therefore, I want to go and report that you should come and investigate. We are not doing that. A taxi driver owns the property, or even a messenger in some big corporation is doing this. We don't do that in this country. Sure. But I'm saying, immediately you who have done that, who people can see, because immediately you attack me, some people come out with information that you have acquired it, you have acquired it, and look at what you are doing. How do I know that a couple of people have also taken him on in court for defamation? But I'm saying, I am, as I sit here, aware that you are living in airport residence, that very expensive area.
Is it Airport Hills?
Airport Hills.
Okay.
I can't afford it. Okay. I've not been able to afford anyhow because I've been a lawyer and a public servant for a while. You have been as I said, I started practicing law before you were born, and yet you've been able to come quickly. You've not done work as a businessman, but you've been able to acquire it and other properties. I am not accusing you of state capture, and yet I've done nothing wrong. And you are telling me that because I have been in public service, because I've been a chairman of my party, or because I've been a chairman of GMPC as a corporation, you are accusing me in the whole world. You go on TV everywhere else, and you are telling the whole world as if I am a common criminal. I think I've been involved in corrupt practices, and I'm daring you that it is not so. Don't say that, because you make people hate me. I hate my children for no good reason. And that's what I'm saying. I've taken him to court. But irrespective of that, President-elect John Mahama have appointed you. Maybe based on what you have been saying, your utterances, that you are the sea to Kumasi, and people say, look, we deserve it. Go and break the sea, and so forth. But that's not what I'm trying to say. I did some time ago, 2018, thereabout, to make our parties independent, to make it so that we will be making our own monies here and there. I came out with an idea that we could bring in buses. How do we do that? It's 11 million. I said 270 buses. We could do that by going to the bank to make sure, because we come out with proposals. If the bank will buy it, will give us the money, $11 million, so that we could bring in the buses and let work and pay, because the proposals are good. Yeah. That's what I promised. And indeed, I went to the bank. And the bank, that's I'm talking about UMB Bank, agreed to that. They even agreed that, look, instead of 275, let's make it 100 for now. Then you add the rest. As I talk to you now, the buses were brought in.
Okay.
And unfortunately, we had a little problem with the banks, and the bank says that no, let's hold it. And they are packed at the moment, because we could have been working for the past 4 or 5 years to bring in money. But because I didn't have the money in my pocket, because of a little problem to guarantee, the bank has not released. We are in court over it.
Okay.
Yet, I have not deceived anybody. I'm not lying to you that the buses are in.
But is your party aware that the buses are in, and because of the issues with the bank?
Indeed, when they talked about it at some stage, unfortunately, the lawyers for my party also said, look, we were not involved in that importation. He did it on his own to bring and help us set up a company that could do it. So we were not directly involved, so that the court cannot impose any sanctions or anything else and hold us responsible. I understand it, but we are dealing with the court, and then I've proposed that we come to a settlement of somehow, if even we can't have all the buses and so forth now.
Right.
Goodies, which you have not done.
But let me take your final thoughts on the fight for the outstanding seats in Parliament and the ruling of the Supreme Court on the matter.
Yes, specifically, what do you mean by that? I know that the matter has ended up in some cases in court.
Some seats are in contention. Okaikwe Central, Ablekuma North, Techiman South, Tema Central.
It's unfortunate the way this is about talking, maybe from a party point of view, that even I hear the Al-Bababi speaker. Al-Bababi said that if he's the speaker and he will not, is threatened to swear them. I'm outraged by what he's saying, because he himself has not even been there, and yet he's threatening that he will swear somebody's in. He doesn't swear people in. It is the clerk who does that, and he doesn't determine who is being elected. It's the NEC. It's the clerk who does that based on the result that they can.
The national results.
Very good. Now, what else again does he need? He needs peace to tackle problems. Government should settle down and take along some of these problems and let live as he wants to live. Them, and according to them, they've declared it. You may not be happy. If I was a member of Parliament, I was a candidate in that, I wouldn't be happy. But so be it. That's what the EC have declared, and it's gone through the due process to declare and say this is what we see. If you are not happy, go to court and dispute it, and let's see what the result will be. I think a very do we link up with our overwhelming? What happened really in a very